The King and the Hourglass. In a realm where the sun never set on wealth and power, there lived a king whose name was etched in both reverence and stone. He ruled an empire vast and rich, yet beneath his golden crown throbbed a relentless unrest. By day, he was a monarch of unmatched might. By night, a prisoner to the shadows of his own fears. Fear of loss, of decline, of an inevitable end. One chilly evening, as the stars began their silent vigil, an old sage arrived at the palace gates. His reputation as a wise man preceded him, and so he was quickly ushered into the presence of the troubled king. "I have heard of your great wisdom," the king declared, his voice echoing off the high, ornate walls. "Tell me, how can I secure my power forever? How can I ensure that all I possess remains mine until the end of days?" The sage, with a smile that hinted at secrets the night sky itself hadn't whispered, reached into his robe and presented the king with a gift, an hourglass, simple and unadorned. The king, surrounded by opulence, scoffed at the modesty of the gift. But the sage urged, "Watch closely." As the king's eyes followed the steady stream of golden sand slipping from one bulb to the other, the sage spoke softly. "This sand, your majesty, represents your life." The king, his patience thinning, scoffed at the metaphor. But the sage pressed on. "Each grain that falls is a moment of your life lost forever. And the sand that remains at the top, that is all the time you have left." A silence, heavy and uncomfortable, filled the room as the king gazed into the hourglass, his heart catching at the impossibility of discerning how much time remained. "That," the sage continued, "is our shared truth. None of us knows how much time we have left." The king, so used to command and control, found himself grappling with the immensity of such uncertainty. "You've spent your life in pursuit of that which you cannot take beyond," the sage said gently. "When the last grain falls, your riches, your conquests, none will accompany you." The weight of the sage's words bore down upon the king, his empire suddenly as insubstantial as mist. "Then what should I do?" he asked, a rare note of plea in his voice. The sage, his mission accomplished, simply said, "Live as if each grain might be your last." With that, he left, the echo of his steps a benediction in the vast halls of power. The king stood alone, the hourglass his only companion. For the first time, his thoughts were not of gold or enemies, but of the remaining sand in the hourglass, and what truly mattered. He realized then, in the quiet solitude of his palace, that his true dominion was not measured in land or gold, but in moments yet spent and the legacy of how they were lived. Reflecting on the sage's wisdom, the king spoke aloud to the silent room. "I shall live as though each day may be my last, cherishing each moment, for these grains of sand are the true treasures of my reign." And so, dear viewer, as we hold the sands of our own lives, let us too consider not the grains that have fallen, but those that remain. How will we choose to spend them?